AMP stands for Accelerated Mobile Pages, and it's a project that Google's been working with other external sources to help speed up the web. Their goal was to make websites load in 1 second or less. And by using AMP HTML, AMP JavaScript, and AMP CSS, they hope that many websites can do this. So the AMP protocol was launched as kind of a collaborative effort. And what it does is it sets up different ways that you can speed up pages and different requirements. And Google got on board by saying, here are the requirements that we want to have to be able to list certain pages on the web as AMP valid. Now, the important thing to understand is that, yes, there is a visual benefit to being AMP valid because you get the little lightning bolt symbol in search results, but studies have found that not everyone looks at that. Most users don't understand what it means. So what we recommend to clients is to use AMP HTML, AMP JavaScript, AMP CSS, and the rules for AMP validation whenever you can, but not to live and die by whether or not you are AMP valid, because you still get massive speed benefits from using the AMP code, which was developed by the smartest, fastest, best developers in the world. They figured out, how can we make this super, super fast? And to use that wherever you can, even if you're not going to be AMP valid. So part of being AMP valid, though, is using Google's cloud hosting. When you do all of the things to be AMP valid, part of that means you're using Google's CDN, and that's part of what makes it fast, because most fast websites use a CDN. When you use Google CDN, they know that they've tweaked it exactly the way they like it in terms of speed and serving it and stuff like that. And so that's part of the benefit. Now, a lot of people and companies pay a lot of money to have a CDN. But when you're using Google CDN to be AMP valid, the CDN is free. So this is one of the benefits that's not really talked about, is if you don't want to spend time working with Amazon Web Services or CloudShare or any of the other CDNs, you can just go about setting up AMP pages and get a free CDN for those AMP pages. Now, another important concept related to AMP is canonical AMP. And canonical AMP is when you say, most AMP pages are a copy of an existing page that has AMP HTML. So you take an existing page, you make a copy, and then you switch in AMP HTML and AMP assets instead of the original assets. And then you link the two with a rel alternate and a rel canonical, just like you would for old mobile SEO, right? But it's the rel alternate with the AMP markup in it instead. And the other option is, instead of building two versions of a page and linking them, you can just build one page and make it the AMP version. So as long as there aren't massive problems that you're encountering when you're building with AMP, I usually encourage many sites to go AMP canonical and not have two versions of the page, because why would you want a fast version and a slow version? In what context would you need the slow version? And in what context would it be better? Mostly what we find when we have these discussions is that there's not a lot of benefit to the slow version of the page. And so you may as well go AMP canonical. And just have all of the original pages be updated with AMP HTML and the other assets, the other AMP code. The one downside that a lot of companies find is that AMP tracking can be problematic. Adding a bunch of tracking code can be difficult in AMP. Google and the AMP group are working on this, but that's one of the reasons that you might not do it. But originally there were formats for just like AMP articles and AMP recipes, but now they've built out and you have a lot of interactivity available and even e-commerce in AMP formatted pages. So when you think about how much a slow page can hurt a conversion process, especially in shopping, and the studies that show how much more people will buy when they're on a fast site, that makes AMP look more and more beneficial. So even if you lose some of the tracking, as long as you're making the money, that's generally what counts in the end. If you make way more money, but you lose a little bit of tracking, that may be just a cost of doing business, right? And the company generally will take the money that they make over, some minor loss in ability to get rich analytics out of a website. So that's AMP. Thanks. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. To be notified about future videos, click the logo. And to try the MobileMoxie mobile SEO toolset, use the promo code YouTube to get 30 days free. They're mobile-first SEO tools for a mobile-first world.